What about the life you promised to yourself? That dream, that vision, that silent commitment you once made when your heart was burning with hope. Where is it now? Most people think life is about surviving, but you once promised yourself more than survival. You promised yourself growth, freedom, health, success, and peace. The question is, did you honor that promise, or did you abandon it when life became uncomfortable? The truth is, the world will always test you. Distractions will pull you, doubts will weaken you, and failures will challenge you. But the life you promised to yourself does not disappear. It waits. It waits for your discipline, your decisions, your consistency. Every day you delay, you drift further from the life you once imagined. But every step of effort, every small act of courage brings you closer. Understand, the cost of discipline is temporary, but the cost of regret is lifelong. Self-reflection is the foundation of every meaningful transformation. Because before you can build the life you promised to yourself, you must understand where you currently stand. Most people move through their days in automatic patterns, rushing, reacting, and surviving without ever pausing to ask, am I living the life I once envisioned for myself? That pause, that inner questioning, is the moment of self-reflection, and it holds the power to redirect an entire destiny. Without it, a person can easily spend years climbing ladders, only to discover they were leaning against the wrong wall. When you promised yourself a better life, whether it was years ago or just yesterday, that promise was born from a spark of clarity. You imagined health, purpose, financial stability, deeper relationships, or inner peace. But then came distractions, responsibilities, and setbacks that blurred that image. Self-reflection is the act of returning to that original vision and asking, what happened? Am I closer to it, or have I drifted away? This is not about judgment or self-criticism. It is about honest awareness. Because what you cannot see, you cannot change. The beauty of self-reflection lies in its simplicity. You do not need special tools, advanced knowledge, or external approval. You only need time and honesty. When you take a moment in silence, without your phone, without your tasks, and truly sit with yourself, you create the space to hear the truth you often ignore. And in that truth, you will see both your strengths and your weaknesses. You will see the excuses you've been making and the opportunities you've been neglecting. That realization may feel uncomfortable, but it is also liberating because it awakens the understanding that your life is not fixed. It is in your hands. Think of it like a map. If you want to travel to a destination, the first step is not simply walking. The first step is knowing your current location. Without it, every step may take you further away. Self-reflection provides you with that location. It answers the critical questions: what habits dominate my day? Which of them align with the life I promised, and which betray it? Who surrounds me, and are they lifting me or holding me back? How do I speak to myself? Do I encourage, or do I constantly doubt? These answers are uncomfortable because they demand accountability. But only through this accountability can you begin to align your actions with your vision. Some people fear self-reflection because they equate it with weakness, as if looking inward will expose flaws they cannot handle. In reality, avoiding self-reflection is the true weakness. Strength is not pretending you have it all figured out. Strength is admitting you don't and deciding to work on it. Every great leader, thinker, or achiever has spent countless hours in self-reflection, learning from mistakes, understanding their patterns, and refining their vision. They realize that without knowing themselves, they cannot truly master life. Self-reflection is not meant to remain only in thought. It is a bridge between awareness and action. Once you see clearly, the next step is choosing differently. If you realize that the life you promised yourself requires discipline, then reflection must be followed by new routines. If you recognize that you have been compromising your health, reflection must be followed by choices that honor your body. Awareness without action becomes another form of delay, and delay leads to regret. So reflection is not the end, it is the beginning of change. What makes self-reflection powerful is that it reawakens integrity with yourself. Too often, we keep promises to others while breaking them to ourselves. You said you would wake up earlier, eat healthier, study harder, or take risks, and yet, When no one was watching, you abandoned those commitments. This erodes trust with yourself. Reflection is the chance to rebuild that trust by confronting reality honestly and then deciding to do better. And when you start keeping promises to yourself, your confidence grows, your discipline strengthens, and slowly, the life you promised begins to unfold. Ultimately, self-reflection is not a one-time practice. It is a lifelong habit. Just as you cannot clean a room once and expect it to stay clean forever, you cannot reflect once and expect clarity to last a lifetime. Life changes, challenges arise, desires evolve. Reflection is how you repeatedly realign with your vision, ensuring you do not drift too far away. It is how you measure progress, course-correct mistakes, and keep the fire of your promise alive. So if you truly care about the life you once promised to yourself, begin by sitting in silence. Ask yourself the hard questions. Do not fear the answers, because in those answers lies the blueprint for your future. Reflection is the mirror that shows not only who you are today, but also who you still have the power to become. And when you honor that process consistently, you will discover that the life you once dreamed of was never out of reach. It was only waiting for you to pause, to look within, and to start walking with awareness toward it. Discipline over motivation is one of the most misunderstood principles when it comes to building the life you promised to yourself. Most people wait for motivation to appear before they take action. They think they need to feel inspired, energized, or emotionally driven in order to start. But motivation is like the weather, unpredictable, unstable, and temporary. It rises and fades with circumstances, moods, and environments. If you depend only on motivation, you will find yourself working hard one day and procrastinating the next, moving forward when you feel good and standing still when you feel low. This inconsistency is the silent enemy of your vision, because the life you promised to yourself requires steady progress, not occasional bursts of effort. Discipline, on the other hand, is like the sun. It may hide behind the clouds some days, but it always returns, reliable and constant. Discipline does not ask how you feel. It only asks what you committed to. It is the ability to act according to your decision, regardless of your mood. That is why discipline is stronger than motivation. It makes you act even when motivation is absent. It transforms effort from a choice into a habit. Once something becomes habitual, it no longer consumes your willpower. It becomes part of who you are. That is the true path to the life you envisioned. Not through constant inspiration, but through cultivated consistency. Think about any skill, any mastery, any transformation in history. It was not achieved by someone who waited to feel motivated every day. Musicians practiced scales even when they were tired. Athletes trained on days they did not want to. Writers wrote when no creativity seemed present. Their discipline carried them through the empty days, and those accumulated efforts created results that motivation alone could never sustain. This is why many dreams remain unfulfilled, not because people lack the vision, but because they lack the discipline to endure the days when their hearts are not on fire. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. When you say you will wake up at 6 in the morning and actually do it, you prove to yourself that your words mean something. Each time you keep that promise, your inner strength grows. You no longer rely on emotion to determine your actions. You rely on integrity. And integrity with yourself is far more powerful than fleeting bursts of excitement. The opposite is also true. When you constantly break promises to yourself, you weaken your belief in your own ability to change. You start doubting your power, and that doubt becomes a chain that holds you back. Discipline is how you break that chain. Another important truth about discipline is that it simplifies life. Motivation often creates an emotional struggle. Do I feel like doing this or not? Discipline removes that question. It turns effort into routine. You no longer debate whether you will study, exercise, work, or practice. You simply do it because it is part of your system. This saves energy, removes confusion, and keeps you aligned with the promise you once made. Many people think discipline is restrictive, but in reality, discipline is freedom. Freedom from laziness, freedom from indecision, freedom from regret. The price is effort, but the reward is progress. Consider also the relationship between discipline and identity. Motivation says, I want to do this. Discipline says, this is who I am. When you repeat disciplined actions long enough, they shape your identity. If you read daily, you do not just motivate yourself to read, you become a reader. If you train daily, you become an athlete. If you work on your vision consistently, you become the person capable of fulfilling it. Motivation gives you a temporary push, but discipline transforms who you are at your core. And once your identity aligns with your actions, the life you promised is no longer just a dream. It becomes reality in motion. There is, of course, resistance in the beginning. Building discipline feels heavy because the body and mind prefer comfort. But comfort is not where growth lives. Discipline requires sacrifice, sacrificing sleep for productivity, sacrificing entertainment for learning, sacrificing comfort for challenge. But each sacrifice strengthens your will. With time, the resistance weakens and the habit strengthens until what once felt difficult becomes natural. That is the turning point, the moment discipline becomes your ally instead of your burden. Ultimately, the life you promise to yourself will not be achieved on the days you feel motivated. It will be built on the days you do not want to act, but act anyway. Those days matter the most because they prove that your commitment is greater than your mood. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your reality. It is the silent force that carries you across distractions, doubts, and difficulties. If you wish to honor the life you once envisioned, do not wait for motivation to arrive. Build discipline, practice it daily, and let it guide you steadily toward the life you once promised and still deserve to live. Clarity of vision is the compass that guides every step you take toward the life you promised to yourself. Without it, no matter how much effort you put in, you will find yourself wandering in circles, busy but not progressing, moving but not arriving. Most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they lack clarity. They do not know exactly what they want, and when the destination is unclear, every path looks tempting, every distraction feels important, and years pass without meaningful progress. To build the life you promised yourself, you must first define that promise in precise terms. What does it look like? How does it feel? What habits, relationships, and achievements are part of it? Until you answer these questions, your actions will lack direction, and without direction, consistency becomes impossible. When you have clarity, energy becomes focused. Imagine sunlight scattered across the sky. It gives warmth but does not ignite. But when the same light is concentrated through a lens, it can burn through obstacles. Your vision works the same way. A vague desire like, I want to be successful, is scattered light. It sounds good, but it gives no direction. What kind of success? In what field? By when? At what cost? Without answers, you will chase every opportunity and lose yourself in distractions. A clear vision, however, concentrates your energy. If you decide, I want to build financial independence in the next 5 years by mastering a specific skill, your decisions immediately align with that goal. You know what to say yes to, and more importantly, you know what to say no to. Clarity filters your choices and protects your focus. Clarity also provides motivation in moments of struggle. Every meaningful journey will test your patience, your resilience, and your endurance. On those days, the only thing that pulls you forward is a clear picture of where you are going. If your vision is vague, the pain will feel meaningless, and you will quit. But if your vision is clear, you will see every challenge as part of the path. A student who knows exactly why they are studying late at night does not resent the sacrifice. An athlete who envisions the championship does not complain about the training. When you know what you are working for, you can endure almost any difficulty. Another aspect of clarity is that it creates alignment between your values and your actions. Many people feel restless because they are living in conflict, working in jobs they dislike, pursuing goals they never truly wanted, following paths chosen by family, society, or fear. Clarity demands honesty. It forces you to ask, is this vision really mine, or is it borrowed from others? What matters most to me? What does success mean in my own terms, not in the eyes of society? Answering these questions may feel uncomfortable, but it liberates you. Because the life you promise to yourself must be yours, not a copy of someone else's dream. Only then will it bring fulfillment instead of emptiness. Clarity is not about predicting every detail of your future. Life is dynamic, and visions may evolve. But clarity means having a direction strong enough to guide you while allowing flexibility to adjust the path. Think of a ship. The captain may change course when storms arise, but the destination remains in mind. Without a destination, the ship drifts endlessly. With clarity, even setbacks become temporary detours instead of permanent failures. You know where you are heading, and that knowledge gives you resilience. One way to build clarity is through visualization. When you close your eyes and imagine the life you want in detail, how you wake up, where you live, what kind of work you do, how you feel, you give your mind a target to pursue. The brain does not distinguish strongly between imagination and reality. The clearer the vision, the more your subconscious begins aligning your behavior with it. That is why athletes rehearse victories in their minds before competitions, and successful people often write down their goals vividly. Clarity transforms desire into direction. Another way is to break your vision into milestones. Big dreams can feel overwhelming, and without smaller targets, clarity can blur. If your vision is to write a book, your first milestone is a chapter, your next is a draft, then revisions until the dream becomes real. Each milestone gives you feedback, progress, and encouragement. Clarity grows stronger when you see measurable steps instead of an impossible mountain. In the end, clarity of vision is not just about knowing what you want. It is about creating a relationship with that vision so strong that it guides your daily actions. It keeps you from chasing distractions, it helps you endure hardships, and it aligns your life with your true values. Without clarity, you live by accident. With clarity, you live with purpose. The life you promised yourself is not waiting somewhere outside. It begins the moment you decide clearly what it looks like and commit to walking toward it every single day. Sacrifice and responsibility are the unshakable pillars of the life you once promised to yourself. Every dream, no matter how inspiring, comes with a price, and that price is often paid through giving up comfort, letting go of distractions, and taking full ownership of your choices. Many people want transformation but resist the cost that comes with it. They want the results without the sacrifice, the success without the struggle, the freedom without the responsibility. But life does not work that way. Everything of value demands something in return, and the sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you align yourself with the path that leads to real change. Sacrifice is not about losing, it is about choosing. Every time you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to another. If you choose to spend hours scrolling, you sacrifice growth. If you choose late night comfort, you sacrifice early morning productivity. If you choose excuses, you sacrifice opportunities. At the same time, if you sacrifice comfort now, you gain discipline later. If you sacrifice short-term pleasure, you gain long-term stability. If you sacrifice laziness, you gain strength. The key is not whether you will sacrifice, because sacrifice is unavoidable. The key is whether you are sacrificing for the life you want or for the life you will regret. Responsibility is the partner of sacrifice. It means recognizing that your life is in your hands and no one else's. It is easy to blame circumstances, family, environment, or luck for why the life you promised to yourself has not yet arrived. But blame takes away your power. Responsibility restores it. The moment you say, I am where I am because of my decisions, and I will get where I want to be through my decisions, you reclaim control over your destiny. Responsibility may feel heavy at first, but it is also liberating. Because if your choices created your current reality, then new choices can create a new one. The connection between sacrifice and responsibility is simple. When you take responsibility, you no longer look for someone else to carry the burden. You accept that the cost of your dream is yours to pay. And when you sacrifice willingly, you prove to yourself that your vision matters more than temporary comfort. This combination builds resilience because you no longer depend on luck or wait for external help. You become self-reliant, strong, and disciplined, capable of creating the life you promised. Consider anyone who has achieved greatness in any field. Behind the recognition is a hidden story of sacrifices. Time spent practicing while others rested, hours of study while others played, moments of solitude while others sought entertainment. Those sacrifices were not punishments, they were investments. Every sacrifice is a seed, and over time it grows into results. If you are not willing to plant those seeds, you cannot expect the harvest. That is why sacrifice must be embraced, not resisted, because it is the process that transforms dreams into reality. Sacrifice also reveals what you truly value. People say they want success, but their sacrifices prove otherwise. If you claim to want health but sacrifice exercise for comfort food, then health is not truly your priority. If you claim to want financial freedom but sacrifice it by spending recklessly, then freedom is not truly your goal. Your sacrifices are your real values in action. That is why self-reflection and sacrifice go hand in hand. When you see clearly what you are giving up, you also see clearly what you are choosing. If you do not like what your sacrifices reveal, then it is time to change them. Responsibility, on the other hand, demands maturity. It is easy to carry the dream but ignore the weight of responsibility. To dream of success without accepting the effort required is childish. Responsibility transforms the dreamer into a doer. It says, I may not control everything, but I control how I respond. I control my attitude, my effort, my choices, my actions. And with those, I can shape my life. Responsibility removes excuses and replaces them with accountability. It turns failure into feedback, not into a permanent defeat. At first, the demands of sacrifice and responsibility may feel like a burden. But with time, they become sources of strength. When you sacrifice for your vision, you discover resilience you never knew you had. When you take responsibility, you discover freedom from blame and dependency. Together, they create a foundation of character that is unshakable. And character is what sustains you when challenges come, because challenges will always come. The life you promise to yourself is not built in easy moments. It is built in the moments where you choose sacrifice over comfort and responsibility over excuses. So the question is not whether sacrifice and responsibility will be required. The real question is whether you are willing to pay their price. Because the life you promised is waiting, but it will only belong to the version of you who accepts that nothing comes without cost and that no one else can carry your responsibility. Once you accept this truth, you stop waiting for life to get easier and start becoming stronger. And in that strength, you will find the courage to honor the promise you once made to yourself. Consistency builds character because it is the repeated actions you take day after day that shape not only your results, but also who you become. Many people believe that greatness comes from sudden breakthroughs or massive one-time efforts, but in truth, greatness is built quietly in the small, repetitive steps that most overlook. Every time you choose to act with discipline, every time you honor your commitment, even in the smallest task, you strengthen the foundation of your character. And it is character, not luck, not talent, not chance, that determines whether you will live the life you promise to yourself. Consistency matters because it transforms intentions into habits and habits into identity. When you do something once, it is just an event. When you repeat it regularly, it becomes part of you. A person who reads a book one time is just inspired for a moment. A person who reads daily builds wisdom. A person who trains once feels good for a day. A person who trains daily becomes strong. This is the hidden power of consistency. It does not just create results, it creates a new version of yourself. Each repetition lays a brick, and brick by brick, you construct the life you envisioned. Character is not defined by what you do occasionally, but by what you do consistently. If you act with honesty one time but lie in moments of pressure, your character is not honesty. If you work hard when you feel motivated but stop when you are tired, your character is not discipline. Character is revealed in your patterns. Consistency forces you to face your patterns honestly. It removes the illusion of one-time effort and shows the truth of who you are becoming. That is why consistency is the most powerful teacher. It does not lie. Another reason consistency builds character is because it demands patience. In a world where people chase quick rewards and instant success, consistency trains you to endure the long path. It teaches you to value process over immediate results. When you plant seeds, you do not see the tree overnight. You water it daily, protect it, and wait. The same is true with your goals. Consistency is the watering of your vision. Every day you show up, even when you see no visible progress. You are nurturing something beneath the surface. This patience molds your character into someone who does not give up easily, someone who trusts the process. Consistency also develops resilience. There will always be days of failure, setbacks, and discouragement. Without consistency, those failures can end your journey. But when you have trained yourself to show up every day, you learn to rise after every fall. You do not quit just because things are hard. You keep moving because consistency has become part of your identity. And every time you get back up, your character grows stronger, more unshakable, more capable of handling greater challenges in the future. It is easy to act with intensity for a short time, but it is rare to act with consistency for a long time. Intensity can impress people, but consistency transforms you. This is why the life you promise to yourself will not arrive after a week of effort or a month of focus. It will arrive after years of consistent actions, small victories, and steady growth. Those who stay consistent eventually outlast and outperform those who rely only on bursts of motivation. The journey is not about speed, it is about endurance. Consistency also builds credibility, not only with others but also with yourself. When people see that you show up again and again, they begin to trust you. When you see yourself acting consistently, you begin to trust yourself. That self-trust is vital because without it, you will doubt your ability to change. Every consistent action whispers to your mind, I am reliable, I keep my promises, I am capable. And over time, those whispers become unshakable beliefs. Your character becomes defined by reliability, and reliability is the foundation of lasting success. Perhaps the most profound effect of consistency is that it turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Simple actions repeated daily accumulate into extraordinary outcomes. Writing 1 page a day becomes a book. Saving a small amount consistently becomes financial freedom. Practicing a skill daily becomes mastery. At first, the progress is invisible. Then it becomes undeniable. And when you look back, you realize that it was not luck or sudden opportunities that created your transformation. It was the quiet power of consistency shaping your character and your life. In the end, the life you promise to yourself is not waiting to be found in a single moment of inspiration or a sudden opportunity. It is waiting in the daily actions you repeat with consistency. Because what you do repeatedly, you become. And what you become determines the quality of your life. So choose carefully what you do each day, because those choices repeated will define your character. And once your character is strong, disciplined, and reliable, nothing can stop you from creating the life you once promised yourself. Integrity with self is perhaps the most important, yet most neglected aspect of building the life you promised to yourself. It is easy to talk about honesty, discipline, and commitment when it comes to others. But the truth is that the first person you ever make promises to is yourself. Every time you say, tomorrow I will wake up early, or I will start working on my health, or I will change my habits, you are entering into an agreement with yourself. And every time you break that agreement, a small piece of trust inside you weakens. Over time, these small betrayals accumulate, and you begin to doubt your own words, your own strength, and your own ability to transform. Without integrity with self, no amount of motivation, strategy, or opportunity can lead you to the life you envisioned, because you will not even believe in your own commitment. The greatest betrayal is not failing someone else, it is failing yourself. When you fail others, it hurts, but when you fail yourself repeatedly, it erodes the foundation of who you are. It creates a silent conflict inside, a gap between who you are and who you want to be. And this inner conflict is why so many people live restless lives. They know they are capable of more, but their actions do not match their vision. The life you promised yourself becomes distant not because it is impossible, but because you stop trusting yourself to pursue it with integrity. Integrity with self is about alignment. It means aligning your words with your actions, your values with your choices, your promises with your behavior. When you say you will do something and you actually do it, even in the smallest matters, you strengthen the bridge between intention and reality. That strength builds confidence. Confidence is not built from empty affirmations or external praise. It is built from keeping your word to yourself. If you promise to read for 10 minutes and you keep that promise, you grow stronger. If you promise to exercise 3 times a week and you follow through, you grow stronger. The size of the action does not matter. The consistency of integrity does. Integrity also requires courage because it often demands that you confront uncomfortable truths. It is easier to pretend, to make excuses, or to blame others. But integrity forces you to admit when you are wrong, when you are lazy, when you are delaying. It is a mirror that does not lie. Looking into that mirror can be painful, but it is also liberating because it gives you the chance to change. Without integrity, you continue to lie to yourself, and those lies create illusions that keep you stuck. With integrity, you face reality honestly, and honesty is the beginning of transformation. Living with integrity toward yourself also creates freedom. At first, it may feel like a burden, holding yourself accountable, refusing to make excuses, following through even when it is difficult. But with time, this accountability becomes liberating. You no longer live with guilt, regret, or the weight of broken promises. You no longer need to hide behind excuses or justify your inaction. You know who you are because your actions match your words. That clarity and alignment bring peace. And peace is one of the deepest rewards of integrity. Integrity with self also affects every area of your life. If you cannot keep promises to yourself, how can you truly keep promises to others? If you do not trust yourself, how can others fully trust you? Integrity is the invisible foundation of all relationships, all achievements, and all growth. People who lack it may achieve temporary success, but they carry inner conflict that eventually destroys their peace. Those who cultivate it, however, build lives of substance because their strength does not depend on circumstances. It comes from within. The life you promise to yourself requires this level of integrity because it is built on thousands of small promises. Waking up early, studying harder, exercising regularly, saving consistently, choosing wisely. All of these are promises made in silence. If you keep them, your life will transform. If you break them, your vision will fade into regret. The difference is not in your potential but in your integrity. Potential is what you are capable of. Integrity is what you actually live. To live with integrity toward yourself, you do not need to be perfect. Perfection is not the goal. What matters is progress and honesty. When you fail, admit it, learn from it, and recommit. Integrity is not destroyed by failure, it is destroyed by denial. As long as you face your failures with honesty and return to your promises, your integrity remains intact and even grows stronger. This is the cycle that builds resilience of failing, learning, adjusting, and continuing with honesty. In the end, the life you promise to yourself is a test of integrity. Do your actions match your vision? Do your choices reflect your values? Do you treat your own words as sacred? Or do you break them carelessly? Each answer shapes your destiny. Integrity with self is not about impressing others. It is about being able to look into your own eyes and know that you did not abandon yourself. And when you master this, you will discover that the life you promised to yourself was never out of reach. It was only waiting for you to finally keep your word.